another episode of Real Estate Renovators, the business advisory show for real estate professionals. My name's Chanel and this is Rex. How are you, Rexy?
I'm a little bit disappointed and sad, unfortunately.
Oh, here we go.
So we have, as we all know, Melbourne is the auction state of the world, I think. We do more auctions per week than any other state or in any part of the world, which is great.
Where are you going with this?
Bear with me. So we've got the two best auctioneers in the state with us today, and I was going to have live auctions today. There was so much hype around it, and then someone stopped it. So we have no live auctions today.
Why? Why did I stop it?
Because you're not a team player.
Is that right?
I think so.
Do you think, to our audience out there, Rex loves to tell everyone, Chanel's like my sister. Chanel's like my sister. I love C. She's like my sister. His sister recently was engaged.
Congratulations.
And he wants to pimp me out.
I do not want to pimp
you. Really wanted to pimp me out.
I do not want to pimp you out. It was an auction for a consultation with Chanel and a consultation with me.
It was a date with Chanel and a consultation for your coaching business.
How you determine a consultation, the date is up to you. I thought it was a consultation. Anyway,
moving swiftly along, we will showcase some auctioneering skills, and we're going to be auctioning off you today, actually, Rex. And we've actually all planned this prior, so it will be streamed live. If you'd like to auction off a date with Rex, it will be a non-romantic date because he is currently in a partnership. But anyway, moving swiftly along, Rex, can you talk us through our guest today?
We have two guests. I might start the first one because he's sitting next to me, and he is probably the most fittest man in real estate. This man, if you follow him on social media, you'll be A, so motivated, and B, partly like shocked how much workouts this guy does. It's amazing. It's what he says is his discipline, so he's probably the most disciplined people I know. Privileged to know. He's also done over 4,000 auctions in his 23 years in real estate. He has worked. What's amazing about him, most real estate agents are territorial to some extent where they stay in for territory. This man goes anywhere and kills it. So it just shows that you don't need to be in a territory. You can go anywhere if you're as disciplined as he is and kill it. So would you like to introduce him?
No, I'll let you do the honour. You've done so exceptionally well at this.
I feel like I'm going to stuff up his surname, so you can introduce him.
No, you do it!
Rob Cincotta.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
First and foremost, I want to thank you guys for providing a platform for all agents in Australia to actually get some resources in relation to their skill set, because it's lifting the professionalism of the industry, and I really thank you for that.
That's really beautiful. Yeah, Speaking of professionalism, Rob, what are your thoughts on Rex trying to auction me off?
Well, look.
Speak candidly.
I think you can't auction something off that's priceless.
Oh, you beautiful man, come here.
In saying that, it's something that is a treasured possession. So you can never, ever auction off something that's so precious.
Oh, you angel. He's my favourite already.
One of my favourites.
Rob, let's start. There's a real art to auctions, and it's almost like it's like an artist, right? Everyone's got their own unique style and their own unique approach to auctioneering. How did your career in auctioneering start, and talk us through your approach?
Okay. When I first started my real estate career just over 23 years ago, and I was looking at auctioneers, I really felt them. They were very authoritative and they were very standoffish in relation to the client that they were in front of. And I thought to myself, this isn't the best way. And I wanted to challenge the status quo. And what I've found, and thankfully it's evolved over the years, it's become more of a show where it's engaging the client one-on-one and making sure that the client's comfortable throughout the whole process, not only the vendor, but also the purchaser. So I looked at that and I saw auction success rates fluctuate. And I thought to myself, we can close the gap here in our business at Ray White Oakley. We're just floating over just over 94% success rate.
Wow.
So I don't say clearance rate, I say success rate because I don't like the word clearance. But when I look at that, it's going back to our systems. And first and foremost, what I love to do is actually, as soon as the client has listed with our office, is introduce myself and start the relationship there, not on auction day, which is important because they're going to have a lot of questions. They're going to have a lot of concerns. They want the auctioneer to express their feelings about the home. And it's a transfer of feeling between vendor to purchaser. And what we've found is that, believe it or not, the purchaser will have very similar interests to the vendor, hence buying up their property.
Oh.
So it's really important to provide that connection, not only with you and the client, but also between the home and the buyer as well.
How do you engage? You engage with the buyer,
Yep.
but there's a group of buyers there in a very competitive advantage where they're trying to bid against it. How are you engaging with so many people?
Oh, great question. The most important thing is I work very closely with the listing agents, and the auction is actually not the auction day, it's the 27 days prior to.
Okay.
Which is really important. So it's building up the relationship from the start. So when they have an interested client within the home, I like to call and introduce myself as well and ask them if they have any questions around the process, how I run my auctions as well. What if with their knowledge around the auctions, do they know what a vendor bid is? Do they know what happens if the property gets passed into the highest bidder? What have they bid on recently? What offers have they put on the property, on other properties? So then that way I get a bit of a background story and I can provide a connection with that.
Wow. I don't know any auctioneers that would not only engage with the vendor before the auction, but also call the buyers before the auction.
We also invite buyers. Not all buyers take this up. If they have a bidder meeting at the week of auction, so they'll come into the office or we have a Zoom meeting and just discuss the auction process on the day. Like we have a pre-auction meeting with the vendor, we have a pre-auction meeting with the buyer as well.
What's the strategy one to take before auction? Like, what is the art of it?
Okay, the art of the auction, I believe, is understanding the client's needs and wants and understanding their journey and where they want to go to, first and foremost. The other part is understanding your market, understanding what profile of buyers are coming through. Is it young couples? Is it young professionals? Is it mums and dads with 2 or 3 children? Is it downsizers? And really adapting your personality to the buying demographic that you're presenting.
Wow.
Interesting. It's interesting. I'm going to tell quite a funny story about an auction that I went to. I was on the market for a home and I had gone to a couple of properties and I had gone to auction, missed out on one. So I went to the next one. And this auction got me so excited. I was with my partner at the time that I just started bidding and bidding. And my partner's punching me. He's like, Chanel, we don't want this home. But I got so excited by the auctioneer and so caught up in the moment that I just started bidding on this property. Thank God it went to second call and my partner's now pinching my arm saying, Chanel, we're about to buy a $1.5 million home that you don't even want. Luckily it sold to someone else. Congratulations. Sorry I drove the price up. But the auction is so exhilarating.
Yes.
When you are speaking to a potential vendor, what is the benefit of auction over private sale? And when would you really push for an auction as opposed to just putting it on the market and letting it sell, obviously, organically?
Okay, so there's a couple of things here to unpack. First and foremost, a real estate agent only can provide 2 contracts in Victoria. One being an unconditional contract, being an auction contract, and the other being a private sale contract, which can have conditions attached. So there can be up to 6 risk points for a vendor with a private sale contract, but with a auction contract, they get a 10% deposit, it's unconditional, and they get the settlement terms that they're after more times than not. So when you have a look at that with a vendor and you unpack what the market's doing around them, it's a very easy decision for a vendor then to go to market with an auction.
It's a really interesting way to look at it. I thought it'd be more based on a competitive advantage by having all your buyers there bidding against you, but the way you've described it is spot on too.
Yeah. Well, I look at the path of least resistance. I'm a pretty logical person and I like clean transactions, not transactions that are subject to. And as you know, Rex, when you have a very complicated contract, there's going to be a lot of things that can go wrong as well. So it's about simplifying that process, understanding the client's needs and delivering on that.
Okay.
That makes sense.
You've also got an auction course, I hear.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you talk us through this?
Yeah, what do you learn in an auction
Okay,
course?
so what I...
Rob, can I ask, do you have to be an agent to become an auctioneer? 'Cause I would love to be an auctioneer.
Yes,
You
yes,
have to be an agent to
absolutely.
do that. It's not hard to become an agent, unfortunately.
No, it's not hard. It's not hard. When I was 23 years ago, it was a year full-time to study the course or 3 years part-time. Now it's been deregulated a bit, but I think it's been upscaled.
It's
back
upscaled now, and up
There's
until
still
recently, you could
loopholes.
do a 1 week course, and now Queensland still has that. You can get an agency course in Queensland in probably a week or less, and then transfer to Victoria.
There you go.
So what do we learn in this auction course?
Yes.
What does someone, what does that look like?
Okay, so what I've looked at is there's a lot of trainers out there that just train on the day, but the follow-up post the training is very poor. So I like to provide a full circle service. So,
Sounds like you did just anything you do, from vendors to buyers, now to your course as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The reason being is because there are a lot of agents that may not know how to run an auction campaign, or are transitioning or taking that real scary step from being a private sale agent to an auction agency. And it's really important that they understand that it is a rigorous program over 28 days. And each week that goes past, it's 25% less opportunity of marketing the property, obviously with a 4-week campaign. So what I like to do is actually train them each day on exactly what they need to communicate with the vendor and what they need to communicate with the buying market as well, how to adjust the property correctly to ensure that it's always maximising its exposure and bidders as well that's coming to the auction.
So your training talks about changing your strategy from week to week, leading up to the auction?
Day to day.
Day to day?
Day to day. Yeah, day to day, because each day that goes past is 1 day less of that campaign. And the auction is only 1 day, but 27 days leading up to that has to be an intense program.
Wow.
Interesting.
That's so, because you'd think, I would presume an auction course is about the day. You know, most auction courses are about on the day, do this, but yours sounds like it's a...
I guess what goes into the day is all a combination of the work that's gone into obviously getting to that point.
You get external auctioneers that rock up on a day.
Correct.
Never met the vendor before, never spoken to a purchaser before. Most of them haven't. Hi vendor, I'm selling a house. No real communication with purchasers. What you're doing is having this connection with everyone in the crowd.
Correct, because the listing agent is the prominent link that will either make the auctioneer or embarrass the auctioneer. Okay, really important. And having a really good listing agent managing a campaign and an auction process really makes the job of the auctioneers just putting the icing on the cake, or the cherry on the cake, so to speak. So when you look at the way that a listing agent's obsessed with their processes around communication to their vendors, having their vendor meetings and also their buyer meetings, really ensures that it's going to be successful. And there's no disparity that Ray White, being one of the most prominent auction agencies in Australasia, if not the world, is based on their rigorous process around that as well. And just looking at that and enhancing it and saying, well, we've got this framework, what can we do better? What can we change? What can we add? What do we need to take out that's to cater for the current market as well?
That makes complete sense.
And what I hear is you're on the first, before COVID even, to do online auctions.
Yes.
Pioneer before COVID happened.
Yes, we were doing online or hybrid auctions for about 8 years.
Wow.
I adapted the technology very quickly because I saw there was a gap in the market, because as you can appreciate, being a buyer and you can't be there on the day, and putting the responsibility on a loved family member or a friend to bid on your behalf is a massive responsibility. So I thought,
can lead to a lot of nightmares I've seen.
Exactly right. I'll give you an example. We had a situation where a buyer was bidding on the wrong property, and it was supposed to be bidding for a property down the road, and they were bidding on someone's behalf. So we thought to ourselves, what can we do to make it streamlined, safe for the vendor, but also safe for the buyer as well? Well, this process came up and we thought, let's explore this. What's the worst thing that can happen? It doesn't work. But I tell you what, we started getting some momentum around that. And then when COVID hit, we just turned our business, we just flicked a switch and our business went online overnight, and we conducted just over 420 auctions in 21 online, sight unseen with vendors and buyers. And we sold 390 properties that year.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, and it was true to the saying armchair real estate, where we're just selling properties with Zoom inspections, the vendors providing being the camera person on the other end, having buyers engaging with us.
What an awesome year that was for real estate.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
Nothing, not nothing,
Yep.
but most agents are like, I miss lockdown because you're making bank. The vendor's zooming through the property.
Yep.
The auction's online and you got your boxer shorts and your shirt on top.
Correct.
What a great year for agents.
Not everyone did though. Not everyone was ready for it.
Not everyone was ready for it.
If you adapted and you were prepared and you, not that you preempted COVID, but you're prepared for the future, then you are set up for success.
Correct. But also the disappointing part post-COVID was agents moved with the technology, then regressed back to their old ways. And I just think to myself, if you're not moving, you're not growing, right? So you're staying stagnant. So we progressed being hybrid and online. So we conducted any given week anywhere between 8 and 12 auctions. We do a lot of midweek auctions as well.
And you film all yours and you put them online, it's
100%.
live, you can see everything. It's
100%,
amazing.
because it gives the vendor real life situations that happen so they can strategize and create their own plan around that based on certain scenarios that take place, like case studies. Yeah.
Fascinating. Well, Rob, just like with CrossFit and gym, everything you do it at 110%. You are exceptional. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today. We appreciate it so incredibly much. Thank you for watching another episode of Real Estate Renovators.